I feel like the more that we have gone off the rails as a society and become more unstable, instead of trying to correct the problem, we just find more ways to indicate that we just don't want to be taken seriously. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would help me to grow this channel and hit that subscribe button now. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly do appreciate your continued support on my channel, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. You know, it's interesting, as I research for pretty much any topic, I always scroll through a bunch of articles, and there's always something that catches my attention, and I just have to do a double take, and I'm like, that can't be real. Now, before I tell you what it is that we're going to talk about, and you guys can all just kind of scratch your heads along with me, I want to say I understand that life is really challenging right now. But I don't know that this particular thing makes me feel better about the way things are going. So New York City has been in the news a lot over the last couple of years, and not in a positive way. I haven't seen anything positive come out of the news of New York City. I don't even remember the last time I could tell you something positive came out of New York City.
I just don't feel safe.
There's crimes, people getting robbed.
Hear more and more violence going on every day, you're not going to want to come here.
They have had absolutely out of control crime. People are leaving in droves. Nobody feels safe there. They have all of these issues because they call themselves a sanctuary city, and we decided to take them up on that and allow them to actually be a sanctuary city to illegal immigrants, because apparently the current administration doesn't feel the need to secure the border. So, we took them up on their word, on their offer to house these people and to take care of them, as they said was their human obligation to do. They're having to use schools and airports and public spaces of all kinds just to find a way to put a roof over the heads of all of these people that are here, and they don't have a legal right to be here. But instead of actually trying to address those issues and put the people of their city first and actually try to correct these problems and say, hey, you know what, we really need to take care of our own citizens first. We need to make this a hospitable place for them to survive, for them to have businesses, for their kids to go to school, for them to feel safe. Instead, they did things like, I don't know if you guys saw the horrendous display from the NYPD dance team a couple of weeks ago. If I can find that, I will insert a clip here. Aside from that, the next thing that I have seen as part of someone saying, hey, I have a really great idea about how we can solve the problems that New Yorkers are feeling right now. This person is going around hosting Popup Cry Spas. So the guy who started this, his name is Anthony Vialotti, and it says the 31-year-old Upper West Sider explained to the Post that for $20, Gothamites in need of an emotional release can book a 30-minute appointment in a private cry room where they're welcome to come sob on your lunch break and then go right back to work. I'm sorry, are we 5-year-olds now? But it's neither group nor individual therapy. In fact, Vialotti and his team of 2 staffers asked guests to sign a waiver acknowledging that they won't be receiving any psychological support or counseling, although Sob Parlor does boast an on-call licensed therapist who's able to help if a crying client begins experiencing a mental health crisis. Sob Parlor attendees are usually dealing with grief or loss, stress at work or at home, he revealed. But the number one reason people come to us for a cry is heartache after experiencing a bad breakup or unrequited love. In fact, it was a shot to the heart that inspired him to create his wellness venue in December 2022. Getting all choked up while listening to Mariah Carey's Whenever You Call on the Stairmaster at Equinox Gym, and then newly jilted Vialotti thought how nice it'd be to end his workout, stop off somewhere for a soothing cry, and then move on with his day. Sure, he could have a mini breakdown in a bathroom stall or run home to whimper into a couch pillow, but the millennial wanted a cool, alternative environment that offered him both seclusion and a stylishly unique experience. And I'm not trying to be a cold, heartless human being, despite the fact that I'm really not an emotional person. And I'm not saying that, people shouldn't be, letting out their emotions, particularly when things are difficult. But I think the more that we encourage people to just kind of let their emotions out whenever they feel like it, or not encourage people to have a little bit of resilience or to buck up and just kind of deal with it. I think the more that we are pandering to people's weaknesses instead of encouraging them to be stronger, instead of encouraging people to have a stiff upper lip and kind of, take care of things because you are an adult regardless of the struggles that you are going through. Instead, we're saying you don't need to have a stiff upper lip. You don't need to be an adult, and you can just let loose whenever you feel like it, and you don't have to develop any kind of resilience at all. But according to this article, the experts disagree with me. It says Harvard Medical School spotlighted crying as an important safety valve, largely because keeping difficult feelings inside, what psychologists call repressive coping, can be bad for our health. Researchers warn that failing to cry on an as-needed basis could result in a less resilient immune system, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, as well as increase in stress, anxiety, and depression. It's important to allow yourself to cry if you feel like it, said the experts. Make sure to take the time and find a safe space to cry if you need to. A couple of years ago, I may have given a little bit more credibility to the experts, but the more that I am seeing, particularly in the fields of therapy and psychology, and what these people are geared towards doing, the more that I am learning that how they are being trained is really, in large part, not to really help people. And I highly recommend actually looking into some of the interviews that Abigail Schreier has done lately. And she did just write a book recently called Bad Therapy. And basically, it just talks about this overuse of therapy and this overuse of medication and the fact that we've completely crippled ourselves in being able to deal with challenges at all. I'm not saying that therapy and counseling don't have a place at all in society or that there aren't credible people in these fields, but I do think that we have become too heavily reliant on psychology or needing a therapist or needing to cry things out constantly. And I would argue that it is making us much weaker human beings. And I don't need to conduct a study to see that or to know that when I see so many grown adults who can't even have a conversation with somebody that they disagree with, or they can't even be in the room with somebody that they disagree with. Or when we see so many young adults overusing words like trauma to describe even the most minor challenges that they face.
It is what it is.
Which is why I'm just increasingly skeptical every time someone says that an expert says something, because so many of these experts that we're seeing these days are actually doing more harm than good. So this columnist for the New York Post decided to go and test out one of these cry spas. This person says, for the first 10 minutes of my visit to Sob Parlor, I found myself too hyper-focused on the fact that I just maneuvered through midtown traffic to huff it to the makeshift wellness space. My mind and tear ducts were able to zone in on the healing task at hand right away. But after settling down and taking in the cozy scene Viliotti had set up in the cry room, which came complete with a comfortable chair, cutesy teardrop-shaped mirrors and pillows, a journal for jotting down my thoughts and printing cards featuring heart-tugging prompts like imagine a duck in distress or think of a time your loved one gave birth, I began to feel. I hadn't begun weeping just yet, but my heart and mind were finally at ease, setting the physiological stage for an outgoing flood. Viliotti offered to regale me with tear-jerking tracks from any of the 36 music playlists he curated for Sob Parlor participants, including songs from the hip-hop, R&B, pop, and rock genres. But I chose to lean on my personal collection of Whitney Houston hits. After listening to Why Does It Hurt So Bad from the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack twice in a row, I was a puddle. After about 15 minutes, I was done and ready to get back to the salt mine. And this is not me minimizing anybody's needs to get these feelings out and express their emotions or to use crying as part of their grieving process for losses, for hardships, for struggles, for any of these things. I do think it is incredibly important and probably one that I should engage in more, but it's just something that doesn't come naturally to me. But I just can't help but feeling worried about society when things like this are needed. And not only that there is a market for these things. Because I can't fault this guy for creating something like this, because when there's a demand for something, it's always the people that come up with the idea to address that demand first that end up capitalizing on it the most. It's kind of like back in early 2020, 2021, when I would see these stores go up so quickly selling COVID-19 supplies like masks and gloves and all of these things. And as much as I hated it, I couldn't fault them for doing that because there was a demand for those things and they knew that that was an opportune time to make money. But I guess what I'm deeply concerned about this is the fact that there is a demand. I mean, I don't know if we're running out of, we have a shortage of places for people to cry in and express their emotions, that people are so upset and so beside themselves that we actually need to start creating more spaces for people to cry. I just think the fact that people are struggling so much that something like this could take off is really the root of the problem. So I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Do you think that I am being too heartless? Do you think that there is a need for these things? Do you think that something like this actually improves people's mental health? Do you think it makes people better? If there was a cry spa in your area, would you participate in it? You can be honest, I won't shame you. Anyway, please hit that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed. I am trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one.